Mitzvah Pesach b'Florida, so Gemara. Well, but you went. So the two sichos this week, are both very long. The first one is the Hadron and Masechta Yuma. Remember that, Maish? Yeah. So he wanted me to do it, Wilhelm. But I told him I'm doing it Thursday night. By the time I'm finished the sicha editing it, no one's learning it anymore. He says, darf nicht. So I did the other one. Why? Because the sicha, Masechta Yuma, we learned many times. We learn it every year. The two sichas from the sichas project this year are both 11 pages. They're very long sichas. The other one is very difficult. It's very lumdish. Today I'm going to be committing a big avera. I'm doing a gross avera. You'll have to be doing a avera in front of the recorder, yeah? And these classes are going to be edited and they go up online. Misvade for the ganze Welt. The avera is, I'm teaching the sicha next week again. I'm doing 2 weeks this one. 2 weeks. It's a very good sicha. There's a lot of higoyin in the sicha. I guess if I had to put it into words, this speaks about teshuva, it speaks about kapara, and it speaks about vidui. Those are like the three themes of the sicha in Nigla language. Today we're going to be talking about teshuva and kapara, and the Mitzvah next week, b'li neder, if all goes as we plan it, we'll do the beginning and the end, which is vidui, and then there's a lot of kabbalah. But the Iggeres is these 3 points: teshuva, kapara, and vidui. So vidui is not on the table today. Okay. What year? It was maybe in a hadrin. It may have been a siyam hadrin.
We're using Yuma's Vaktisha.
That's right. Yeah. So Rabbi say here's what's going to happen. We're starting on page 194. We're really starting on page 196. I'm just going to show you one paragraph on page 194. Okay. So listen. Again, I'm repeating it again. There's 3 points that I want to sort of bring out from learning this sicha. B'lined, I'll take us 2 classes. Teshuva, Kapara, and Vidui. Okay, this week we're going to do b'lined, Teshuva and Kapara. Next week we can do Vidui. So I want to start the class with a question, with a proposal, in other words, with a. What is the difference between the word Teshuva and the word Kapara? What is the difference between the word Teshuva and the word Kapara? Teshuva is what we do, and Kapara is what the Eibishter does. Right? Teshuva doesn't mean ask for forgiveness. It's a misnomer. Teshuva means we return to Him. Teshuva means we return to Him. And Kapara means to be very grob, and He forgives us. Kapara doesn't mean to forgive. The Alter Rebbe says, Kapara is miloshin kinuach shemakanech lichlach achat. Kapara means to wipe clean. Like you take a shmata with whatever it is, fantastic or easy off, and you make it perfectly smooth. That's Kapara. So there's 2 things. There's teshuva and there's kapara. Teshuva is what we do, and kapara is what the Eibishter does. Now, what's going to happen in this sicha, what happens in this sicha, and there's a lot of details, and we're not learning all the details because it'll be impossible, is teshuva is one thing, kapara is another thing, and there's a considerable amount of overlap. In other words, there's some places where you say, if there's no kapara, then the teshuva wasn't correct. In other places, you say, if there's no teshuva, then the kapara is not kapara. You see? So that becomes the drama. The simple fact is, teshuva is an action and kapara is a reaction. Teshuva we do, kapara the Eibishter responds. But it gets tricky. Because what happens is teshuva no kapara, what happens is kapara without teshuva, and so on and so forth. This is the drama of these 2 parts of the sicha. Now remember, there was a 3rd issue, which is Vidui. Vidui we're learning next week, b'li neder. Today we're just learning teshuva and kapara. So go to page 194. So we're reading the Gemara. Okay, this is a braise in Masechta Yuma. Okay, it's a braise in Masechta Yuma. It's in the last daf of Masechta Yuma. It's very, very famous. It's claimish the source of the first page in the Iggeres Teshuva, but the Alter Rebbe misquotes the Gemara. The Alter Rebbe quotes Isa b'Masechta Tanya b'Seif Yuma. Shleishich Likutei Kapara. The Alter Rebbe quotes the Gemara Masechta Yuma that does not exist in our Gemara. The Iggeres. This is the Iggeres. It's written in the Gemara, and there's more than one sikh of the Rebbe on this. Shol Rab Masya ben Choresh as Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah beremi. Rebbe Elazar ben Choresh met Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah, and those who do not know, Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah was a Kohen Gadol. He was a Kohen. He was a Kohen Gadol. He was a big tzaddik. And Rab Masya ben Choresh said to him, Shamata. Arba'a Chilukei Kapara Shoy Rabbi Shmuel Derish. Rabbi Shmuel was also a Kohen Gadol. He was a Shmuel Kohen Gadol. So Rabbi Shmuel was a Kohen Gadol Mistama before Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. So Rabbi Masya ben Chodesh says to Elazar ben Azariah, did you hear what Rabbi Shmuel, Kohen Gadol, said about Arba Chiluk Kapara, that there's 4 categories of Kapara. Now notice, the issue in this Braisa is not Tshuva, the issue in this Braisa is Kapara. Be aware. You understand? This Braisa is speaking about Kapara, not about Tshuva. Okay, Tshuva means what we do, Kapara means what the Eibishter does. That Masya ben Chodesh says to Elazar ben Azariah, do remember the Chalukei Kapara that Rabbi Shmuel was Danish. Omar, so Elazar ben Azariah answers him. Shloisha hey, there's only 3 Chalukei Kapara. He argues. Rabbi Masya ben Chodesh says that Rabbi Shmuel was Danish at Chalukei Kapara. And Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, nope, only 3. Now, so you could say by Pashtus that they're arguing about Metzias, right? That the Masya ben Chodesh heard either directly or indirectly that Rabbi Shmuel was Dei Sharba, and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah heard different, but that's not what happened. The reason Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah argues with Rabbi Masya ben Chodesh is because of the following reason: U'tshuva im kol echad. Every kapara comes along with a tshuva. So now I want you to understand what this means. This means that the Masya ben Chodesh says that Rabbi Shmuel was Dei Sharba Chalukei Kapara. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is not arguing. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is saying there's only 3 kaparas because kapara has to be with tshuva. So it becomes in effect apples and oranges. You understand? Rabbi Masya ben Chodesh says Rabbi Shmuel was there. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is not saying wrong. He's saying no. He says no, but I'm not interested in that idea of arba chalukei kapara. I'm interested only in the shleish chalukei kapara because the shleish chalukei kapara is tshuva im kalech. And now comes the part of the Braisa which you know from Iggeres Teshuva. Avram mitzvah asay v'shav and his other mashal machamechlam. If you did the mitzvah asay, and everything is brought with psukim. Every single one of these members that has the pasuk attached to it. If you did an aveda, you did an aveda of omission, you missed the mitzvah asay, the tshuva is mechaper right away. You don't need Yom Kippur. Avram mitzvah asay teshuva. If you did the negative aveda, Rachmana litzlan, ain't the tshuva. So then you say tshuva Taylor. The tshuva only suspends it, you don't get punished. And Yom Kippur mechaper. Yom Kippur is atoning for the aveda, cleans it off. Over al krisus misas bezdin vasa tshuva. If you're over on krisus misas bezdin, and you did tshuva, so then tshuva v'yom kippurim Taylor. Tshuva plus Yom Kippur suspended that you shouldn't get punished for it. V'yisurim emarkin. And only when you have yisurim do you have kapara. Continues Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and he says, Avol, however, Mish yesh chil Hashem b'yadei. A person did chil Hashem en keach leibe tshuva litleis v'leibe mikpurim lechaper v'leibe yisurim lemarek elakula until umisam yemarekes. Elazar Azariah says the reason I'm arguing with you about the chalukei kapara is because the 4th chalukei kapara only happens when you die. Tshuva, Yom Kippur, and Yisurim are Teilim. We use the 3 different Lashonis. Teilim, Mechaper, Memarek. Mises Mechaperes. So now, what's the pshat? If a person did an Aved of Chilul Hashem, yeah, and he dies and he has kapara, he didn't do tshuva. I'm just pointing it out. It's very, very subtle. A lot of detail here.
It seems like he's also saying that kapara can only happen when a person's alive.
So that's part of the whole the day. Now, what's unusual about the Sikha, I think, is that Rebbe Posher argues with a Marsha. There's a machlokes in the Achronim. Which one of the 4 Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah takes off? The Marsha says that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah takes off the first. Is that right? Rabbi Masya ben Chodesh tells him, you remember what Rabbi Shmuel said? There's Arba chalukei kapara. I said, no, there's only 3. Tshuva kol echad. Which one did he take off? Over al mitzvah asay. Why? Because over al mitzvah asay, since the only thing you need is tshuva, you don't have to have Yom Kippur, you don't have to have Yisurim, you don't have to have Misa. All you need is tshuva, and there's tshuva im kol echad. So it's not a separate chalukah. That's what he says. It's not a separate category. That's the Marsha. The Marsha Shita is that the 3 kaparas that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, except for Rabbi Shmuel and Masya ben Chodesh, is the last 3, including Misa. The one you take off is the first. The Rebbe doesn't like this Marsha. He clearly doesn't like this Marsha. And the Sicha, for the most part, until you get to the Chassidus, at the very end, the Rebbe tries to explain the Marsha also. But for the most of the Rebbe, again, you have to understand, very given the Marsha. Right? It says in the Chassidische Meisebichlach, at the Baal Shem Tov gesagt, at mir wollten gewusst, Kedushaste Shal Marsha, the Rebbe Baal Shem Tov said that if we knew the whole of the Marsha, wollt man gelegt the Sand von sein Kever. The Baal Shem Tov gesagt, Amir wollten gewusst the Kedusha from Marsha, we would lick the dust off his grave. The Rebbe is arguing the Marsha, there's no doubt. The Rebbe goes with the Akeida. He doesn't like what the Marsha says. The Marsha says that Blessed takes off the first, because since Teshuva im Kalachad, you have Teshuva with Yom Kippur, Teshuva with Yisurim, and Teshuva with Misa, so it's not a separate Chalukah, that's what he says. And the Akeida disagrees, and he says what you said. That true, there's 4 kaparas, but since the 4th kapara only happens after you die, it doesn't count. And this Sicha, for the most part, is built on this Shita. That Rabbi Elazar ben Maseh ben Chorosh said, that Rabbi Shmuel and Godel said, there's Abba Chalukah Kapara, there's 4 types of atonement. And Rabbi Elazar ben Azari is not arguing, there are 4 types of atonement. But he argues about giving significance to Kapara without Teshuva, you see. And he says, Shleisha Chalukah. We don't count what happens to a person after he dies. Because if it happens to a person after he dies, you can't attribute it so much to his Teshuva, because he's dead. So even though there's Abba Chalukah Kapara, but it's Shleisha Chalukah Kapara, Teshuvim Kalachad, meaning to say, Rabbi Shmuel said 4 Chalukah Kapara. Rabbi Maseh ben Chodesh is reminding Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah the Abba Chalukah Kapara that Rabbi Shmuel said. And Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is not arguing that Rabbi Shmuel said Arba. He's arguing, I don't hold of those Arba. I want to hold only of Shleisha. Because I only am going to hold of a kapara that your tshuva helped. And that's only the kapara happens while you're still alive. That's the shit of the Akeida. The Rebbe is really arguing the Marsha. It's fantastic. The Rebbe seems to argue the Marsha. You can see inside, I'm not learning it with you, but the Rebbe brings Fashid and Shvedikaiten against the Marsha. He clearly goes the shit of Akeida. So just from this alone, I mean, we learned 1 paragraph of the Sikha. I read the whole Sikha, so I have a little bit of an advantage over you.
What's the nafkamina if you say that the first one is a part of that category or not? Like, why is that so monumental? You
mean, but see, one of the things.
The 4th one, but the first one, like, it's okay. It's not part of it. It is part of the category. That doesn't seem so monumental.
Chalukah Kapara means subdivisions.
Right, I understand.
Subdivisions.
Right.
So how many boxes do you have?
Right, you have 3 or 4. I get it.
Right.
The 4th one makes sense. Because of either after the person, before the person, but the first one is to say it's part of the first. It's not part.
First of all, this is the Rebbe's issue. The Rebbe has the same problem you have, but the logic is, since the second one requires tshuva, and the third one requires tshuva, and the fourth one requires tshuva, they just require something else also. So the tshuva by itself is not a separate chalukah, because the other 3 have the same thing. They just have more. They have tshuva plus. So this Shleisha Chalukah Kapara Teshuva plus, Teshuva by itself, yeah, there are some things that don't require a plus, but it doesn't make it a separate Chalukah because the other 3 also have Teshuva. That's the Marsha's approach. Let's leave the Marsha. We're not going to the Derech of the Marsha. So this is what the Rebbe presents here with. So what you have is already a beautiful word. That you're reading a Braise, which is a Machlokes Tanoim, and the Rebbe shows there's no Machlokes Tanoim. Right away. I mean, it's based on the Achreinim, the Akeida, and the Marsha. It's not a machlokes in Mitzie, it's a machlokes in Verstand. Rabbi Shmuel was there, Chalukah Kapara. And Elazar ben Azariah is not arguing. Elazar says, but that's not what matters to me. What matters to me is Teshuva Kalachad, the Kapara which I create. And the Kapara which doesn't happen till after Misa, although it happened because I did Teshuva Mechayim, since it's not Misyachas to me, I don't want to count it as a Chalukah. Okay, that's the pshat in the Braise. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Right. Okay, yeah. Well, that's noch besser. Mit darf leben.
I don't think Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was a Kohen Gadol.
In times of Rabbi Akiva.
Yeah.
Okay, gerecht. So, Elazar ben Chasma was a Kohen Gadol. Okay, I stand corrected. Maybe I'm wrong about that also. Maybe I think it was 16 years. Maybe Elazar ben Chasma. Okay, mach it to us. Now we go to page 196. Please turn one page, 196. Okay. You ready? Siv Dalit. Der alte Rebbe in Oni Iggeres Teshuva sagt. The alte Rebbe in the beginning of Teshuva begins. Now, Chavre, the first thing you have to notice. What's the first thing you have to notice? I read one line. The alte Rebbe in Oni Iggeres Teshuva sagt. What is the first thing you have to notice? The Alter Rebbe is not talking about Kapara, he's talking about Teshuva. Understand that. The Braisa that we just read is about Kapara. So, Ramasev ben Choresh is interested in Kapara even without Teshuva. Elazar ben Azariah says I'm only interested in Kapara when it comes with Teshuva. But the Braisa is about Kapara. The Alter Rebbe wrote Iggeres Hateshuva. He's not interested in Kapara, he's interested in Teshuva. In other words, the Alter Rebbe is not interested in what's going to happen. The Alter Rebbe is interested in what we're going to do.
And the Braisa talk about Kapara.
Yeah, the Alter Rebbe quotes that Braisa to make his case, but he misquotes it.
But he brings down the part only with the Teshuva.
Oh, so just appreciate the word. That the Rebbe is bringing a Gemara, a Braisa and a Gemara, and a Tanya that speak about, they're the same words. But in the Gemara, the focus is on the word Kapara. They argue of the dependency of Kapara on Teshuva, but Iggeres Kapara. The Iggeres Teshuva is Kishmai Keinu. It's Iggeres Teshuva. Alter Rebbe is interested in Teshuva. The Gemara, the Braisa is interested in Kapara. In other words, the Alter Rebbe is interested in what we do. The Braisa is interested in what the Eibush is gonna do. Okay, let's read it inside now. Tanya b'Seif Yuma. It's the same Braisa. It's the same Braisa. The Alter Rebbe has a different Girsa. We read in Teshuva, Shleisha, Chalukei, Kapara, Heim, the three categories, Kapara, Teshuva, Kalech. Und bringt noch die drei Gebovas. Over a Mitzvah say, over a Mitzvah Leis, over a Mitzvah Besen v'chol. Und es dennoch Messiah ad kan l'sheina Braisa. The Alter Rebbe is not even meramis to the idea of Chil Hashem and Atamusa. Und bringt bechlal nicht darauf die Bavag Chil Hashem, und es vielen nicht meramis durch Meises sein v'chol. The Alter Rebbe misquotes the Braisa Masechta Yuma. He just misquotes it. Now, the pshat of the Alter Rebbe is Alter Rebbe a different girsa. There's a lot of girsas in Shas. But the fact of the matter is that the Alter Rebbe is quoting the Braisa we just read. But he's giving us a different quote. The Braisa we read is about Likutei Sichos and Elazar ben Azariah about Kapara. The Alter Rebbe quotes really only Elazar ben Azariah and in the Shita of the Akeida, right? Not in the Shita of the Maharsha, correct? The Alter Rebbe is quoting the Braisa only in the sheet of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, according to Shittas Akeida, that the one that you take off is Chilul Hashem, where the Kapara only happens after the person passes away, right? And that's how he brings the Braisa and makes no remez whatsoever Chilul Hashem. So we read, next paragraph, the fun is verstandig. And the Alter Rebbe led it, and the Alter Rebbe holds. Das, was Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah sagt, Shleisha hein, meant nicht Sheila sein, nicht auf Mitzvah wie Marsha, nor Chilul Hashem to Pirush Akeida. Right? The Alter Rebbe is arguing with the Marsha as the Rebbe is. It is going according to the Akeida. We read on, Rabbi say, L'choire. Right? In Crown Heights, L'choire is translated as seemingly. Okay? In English, L'choire means it would appear. Was is negei Iggeres Hateshuva? Was der Alter Rebbe divided Mitzvah Hateshuva? Und avoides Hateshuva? The Alter Rebbe did not write Iggeres Kapara. He wrote Iggeres Teshuva. And Iggeres Teshuva is going to tell us, first of all, what's the mitzvah of Teshuva. And second of all, what's the avodah of Teshuva. Al pi halacha and al pi Kabbalah. Why does the Alter Rebbe open up Iggeres Teshuva to magdam zayin as nor gimel Likutei Kapara heim? That there's three Likutei Kapara. He's not interested in Kapara, he's interested in Teshuva. And he does it in such a way that he makes it absolutely clear that if a person didn't have of Chilul Hashem, it's not from the Shleich Likutei Kapara. Alter Rebbe did not write Iggeres Kapara. He wrote Iggeres Teshuva. Who needs the first page of Iggeres Teshuva? The reason the first page of Teshuva is there is because it's kind of easy to memorize. And when the kids get a knas, one of the first pages they go to, it's the first page of Iggeres Teshuva. I can tell you that from experience. Getting the knasim. Getting the knasim. So the shaila is, why does the Alter Rebbe begin in Iggeres Teshuva talking about Kapara? He's not ready in Iggeres Kapara and Iggeres Teshuva. Ken men sagen, and the teretz is, as he and Nisenes. Verkehrt, the Kash itself is proof. Durchbringen die Likutei Kapara. By the Alter Rebbe saying that I'm writing in Iggeres Teshuva, but I'm starting the Iggeres Teshuva by pointing out Likutei Kapara. Gleich in top of page 107 now, please. Gleich in Hascholas Iggeres Teshuva in the very beginning of Iggeres Teshuva is the Alter Rebbe Madgis. The Alter Rebbe wants to make a point. And the point that he wants to make is this. As the Shleimus von Tshuva is das was the Beng de Kapara. I'm interested in Tshuva, says the Alter Rebbe. I'm not interested in Kapara. But how do you know if you did Tshuva or not? If the Eibusha forgave you. So Chacha Filu, I'm writing in Iggeres Teshuva, not the Iggeres Kapara. I'm starting the Iggeres with saying Shleish Likutei Kapara because the Kapara is a raya on the Tshuva. The proof that the Tshuva is adequate or enough or sufficient or complete is that it brought the Kapara. Was der Fall bringt in Iggeres Teshuva? Okay, fine. No. Next paragraph, please. Und the Mitzvah said is madgish, and when he emphasizes, as einen Dosh, Blaze Dosh, Likutei Kapara, und Chil Hashem is nit von sei, that we're going to speak about Tshuva, but we're going to speak about Tshuva that brings the Kapara because the Kapara is a reflection back on the quality of the Tshuva. And we're disincluding Chil Hashem and the fact that Misa is a Kapara for that also. Is there Mazba? The explanation is, as an Inyan HaKapara, there is a concept of Kapara. Now, head of us berat. There's Tshuva by itself. There's Kapara by itself. Tshuva by itself is 4. Kapara by itself is also 4. Tshuva by itself is 4. Aseh, leis aseh, Kiyush Mises Bezin, Chil Hashem. Kapara is 4. Tshuva, Yom Kippur, Tshuva Mikora and Yisurim, Tshuva Yom Kippur, Yisurim and Misa. But when you put them together, when you make a coupling between Tshuva and Kapara, in other words, the Tshuva is reflected in the Kapara, and the Kapara is Misamen Tzedik on the Tshuva. When you put the two together, then you have 3. The Shah is only 3, but you have only 3. So, as the Inyan Kapara, the idea of Kapara, not as an entity unto itself, because the Inyan of Kapara unto itself is taka 4. But the Inyan Kapara v'es is a tale for Shleimus with Tshuva. If we're going to talk about Kapara, that the Kapara is a reflection on my Tshuva, skip the parenthesis. Does haste, does with the Kapara, the Tachas and Tshuva, the idea that the Kapara becomes the end of the Tshuva is not a di Kapara, it's only those categories of Kapara, was Tutzuchof Mechad, that was when you're still alive. Skip the parenthesis. For the Ikrim, for Mitzvah, Tshuva is das. One of the core principles of the Tshuva is, was inyana is mechayim dafki. You can only do it when you're alive. And the Rebbe says, Kidlakam and Sivches. Notice the end of the previous paragraph, the Rebbe said, Kidlakam and Sivzayin, and now the Rebbe says, Kidlakam and Sivches. And we're going to learn till the end of Sivches. That's our plan. Okay? So, the Rebbe is fine-tuning our reading of the Alter Rebbe. When the Alter Rebbe brings Isa b'Seif Yuma, Tanya b'Seif Yuma, Shleish Kapara b'Shlodim b'Yachad, what he's teaching you is Shleish Likutei Tshuva, that the Kapara adds to the Shleimus of the Tshuva. Because Misa, it doesn't have Mechayim, it's not in this category. Sif Hei Rabboisai, Sif Hei Rabboisai. The Rebbe B'Chol, there gives a presentation. This presentation I'm about to read is classic, you have it in many, many places, and I just want to say one more time. Remember that we're getting back here next week, B'li Neder, and we're learning Vidui. And everything we're going to be learning now, that is going to give us 2 different ideas in Tshuva. This whole business of 2 ideas in Tshuva that we're learning this week, hold on to it for 1 week, then after next Thursday you can forget it. In Agutta Shah, to create space for new information coming in America, is everything we're learning now about the 2 concepts in Tshuva is going to be negay also in the 2 concepts in Vidui. But that's next week's Shir. Today we're learning only Tshuva and it's juxtaposed with Kapara. Page 197, second paragraph, the end of the first column. Gleich noch am bringen der Breise von Seif Yuma, the Alter Rebbe in Tanya. Right after he brings this Breise, Zog der Alter Rebbe against the Tshuva, the Alter Rebbe brings, quote, Vehine, Mitzvahs, Hateshuva, min HaTorah, hi azivas achet bilvad. To do tshuva biblically, all you have to do is stop sinning. Stop sinning means mikano lahaba Rabbi say. Tshuva in its most basic is not I feel bad that I did it. It's I won't do it again. That's it. Sheyigma believe b'leif shalom. You should resolve in your heart fully. Lebal yoshev eid lekisla. You shouldn't do it anymore. V'leyav eid mitzvah samech. You shouldn't do it anymore. Okay. And the Rebbe continues. By the way, there's a sweet Rambam earlier in the Sikha, which also the Rebbe over there also brought out. The Rebbe over there also brought out these two in Yonim, but the Rambam I'm going to do next week, okay? In the Vidui class, we'll see how the Rambam also has these two ideas. And the Rebbe continues. From them diak halosh, since the language of the Alter Rebbe is that mitzvah tshuva menatera hezir zechet bilvad. In order to do tshuva biblically, all I have to do is tshuva. Is moving b'pashas, it's self-understood. As the Alter Rebbe is mederuf shelo, alle andere inyonim. Since he says, Ikar Teshuva menatera hezir zechet bilvad, Rabbi say, hezir zechet bilvad means kabbalah al haba. That's what it means. It does not mean charat al avar. It doesn't mean vidui. It doesn't mean bakashas mechila. It means only kabbalah al haba. Vid Ikar Teshuva menatera means I won't do it tomorrow. It's not about the past. It's not I'm sorry. It's not I feel bad. It's not I was a bad guy. It means I won't do it again. That's it. And he explains. Oicharaton Vidui. Ikar Teshuva does not involve regret. It does not involve confession. It doesn't involve asking for forgiveness. It involves only I won't do it anymore. That's Iggeres Teshuva menatera, the top of 107 second column. So then it brings the Chayvus Halavavis, that Charat and Vidui zusammen mit Teshuva Zechat are all Tnoyim in Teshuva. Okay, a whole big ariches. Skip the first paragraph, second column with an Abba from the mountain that Rebbe sagt. This is the Chayvus Halavavis, but Rabbeinu Yena, okay. Aber from them, but the Alter Rebbe sagt, the fact that the Alter Rebbe says 197, second column, second paragraph, as mitzvahs Teshuva menatera hezir zechet bilvad, that the Alter Rebbe holds, that menatera all you gotta do is not do it anymore. Is muchach, as the Alter Rebbe the Alter Rebbe holds, as agam charaton vidus anifin Iggeres Teshuva. It may be true that regretting and confessing is a part of the category of tshuva. Moreover, there could be Yesodis Teshuva, the fundamentals of tshuva. They're not tshuva in its most basic. Because etzem tshuva is aziva zachat b'vad, that I won't do it anymore. Only mikan olaba. Und the riber is men mit aziva zachat alein yetzem is tshuva. Your yetzem it's tshuva by not doing it anymore. This is the Alter Rebbe's approach. Sivov. Der tam favos mitzvah tshuva beikir. Nidich rat ala over. Not the chati gemura belevel haba. The reason the Alter Rebbe passes like this, and the Rambam seems to pass in the same way, I think, that basic tshuva is I won't do it anymore, is nitzu bagain mer kein sind. All it is that I won't do it anymore is val mitzvah tshuva besteht in them, because the category of tshuva is, the mitzvah of tshuva is, was he darf ufton in mention mekan labat. Tshuva is supposed to change me going forward. As over an ois rasha, I should stop being a rasha anymore. In other words, tshuva means that I'm stopping to be a rasha and I'm becoming a tzaddik. Now, when you say stopping to be a rasha, what does it mean? I wasn't a rasha yesterday. I wasn't a rasha yesterday. Today I'm not a rasha. So if tshuva means stopping to be a rasha, be a tzaddik, it's only going forward. It's like hafaras and darim. I'm stopping my rishus. My rishus was yesterday. If I can go back in time, it's still there. But today I'm not. Aber nid benegeh, page 198 now, benit megeh the mother about the past, as im soll nimchal werden, eskape werden, the chayt was getan frier. The mechila and the kapara is not tshuva. Tshuva is only that I won't do it anymore. That's haste. But poyel kum durch tshuva oich kapara ifnava. The truth of the matter is that if I do tshuva, Hashem is going to forgive me. And if Hashem is going to forgive me, it's going to work backwards. Aber es ist nicht gechelik für etzem tshuva. Kapara is not what I do. Kapara is what Hashem does. Moreover, in tshuva itself, the only thing that's part of etzem tshuva is what's happening going forward, not going backwards. So it may be true that tshuva brings kapara, but Iggeres Teshuva is not how tshuva brings kapara. Iggeres Teshuva is tshuva itself. So the past doesn't matter. V'yeseirim mizu yeshleim, moreover, es is nor was rotza HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because the mensch wird Teshuva wird ihm bechapet. The Rebbe over here gives us a sort of a philosophical argument. Let's call kapara a skula. It's not cause and effect. Not if I do tshuva, Hashem's going to forgive me. I do tshuva, I did tshuva, that's it. And I get a schar of kapara, but it's not, I didn't bring the kapara, the Eibush did, it's separate. So if you want to look at it in that way, tshuva has nothing to do with kapara. One happens first, the other happens second, but it's not causal, it's not law, it's not ilav or olo. Tshuva is tshuva. Kapara is a nice thing, but that's nothing to do with the tshuva. Skip the bracket. Nachmer, moreover, says it's not necessary that the tshuva always bring kapara. My tshuva is not a non-tshuva if Hashem didn't forgive me. If I did tshuva and the Eibush didn't forgive me, so I don't have kapara. But tshuva I did. From them, and then brings a Gemara, which we all know from Tanya. By the way, this is really Chilul Hashem. If a person has to shalom created a mamzer, you can do tshuva till the cows come home. The mamzer is walking the earth. It's like kapara you don't have, but tshuva you have. Was werden des kapara fürcht dem kurv yisur v'cholu. Und nafal pikein gleich wer tshuva wird ois rasha is eisa ma'aseh yamcha. Is the kashal eidus dalu gut zachen. So there's certain avedis where the kapara can't happen because the mamzer is wandering around, but the tshuva is still a tshuva. So the Rebbe says tshuva as a pro-action of a person, on the fundamental level, has nothing to do with kapara. Nothing. Kapara happens as a consequence. Kapara happens as a skula. Kapara may happen altogether. But tshuva is tshuva. If I'm not going to do it anymore, the Eibush is happy. Siv Zayin. Now Rabbi Isai, wait, stop for a second and ask me a question. If the Sikh ended right here, you have a big shaila. Why? If the Alter Rebbe holds, Ikir, tshuva menatera, and he's separated. So why does he start with Isa B'Seif Yuma? Kapara? In other words, what the Rebbe just said in Siv Vav makes the first page of Iggeres wrong. We're speaking about tshuva. We're speaking about kapara, and he starts off right away saying Ikar tshuva benatei has nothing to do with kapara. So why did he bring the Braise? Shloishach kapara Siv Zayin. Afa Pikein. Bring der Alter Rebbe in Iggeres Tshuva eich in Yonim wegen kapara. Although he begins the Iggeres Tshuva about speaking about what's called Ikar Tshuva, basic tshuva, which is only tshuva without need for kapara, he discusses kapara anyway. Was von dem ist verstandig, which proves another point. As eich kapara is negei in mitzvah tshuva. There is mitzvahs of tshuva that require kapara. Ikar tshuva menatera does not require kapara. But there's more than one idea in tshuva. There's Ikar tshuva and there's Shleimus tshuva. The whole word of the Sikha that there's two madregas in tshuva. Ikar tshuva is tshuva doesn't do with kapara. But then there's Shleimus tshuva. And for Shleimus tshuva, kapara is negeya. And that's why he starts off with Tanya B'Seif Yuma Shleishach Kapara Tshuva Gemachat. Is there Inyan in them, and the Rebbe now explains. In Tshuvas Aniferan Tzvei Inyan, there's two concepts of Nachavra. Keep in mind that everything we're learning now, we're going to be learning again next week about the Vidui. Just remember this. Aleph, the Tshuva Atzma, Tshuva by itself. Was there meant Chutz, the person does it on his own, when Inyan is Mekanal Habakanal. I decide I'm never doing this wrong thing again. If I never do it again, I am, in the language of this Gemara and Sicha, a tzaddik and not a rasha. Case closed. Base. Der Tachlis u'mavukish u'mesuvav. The end and search and effect von tshuva as der Eibush soll bei ihm mechape sein auf seine Averes. That because I did tshuva, Hashem forgave me. He atoned, he wiped clean. Biz, and he brings the Lashon Rambam v'lefen merutza v'chov v'levan v'yizbarach k'keida machad. That you become so desired by Kadosh Baruch Hu like as if you've never did an Aveda before. U'mitzadem, and because of this, darfen sein, it becomes necessary that zusammen mit Azivas Achet, along with basic tshuva, which is Mikan al Haba, euch andere Gidri tshuva, what the Rebbe called in the previous page. He gave them two different names. Gidri tshuva and Yesedias tshuva, but not Etzem tshuva, which means Charat of a regret, Vidui confession, Bakashas Bechil, all the other stuff. Bracket, this one I'm reading, Aber, at the same time, Afalpi as der mevukosh from tshuva is kabbalah, since the wish, the hope, the end of tshuva is kapara also. Von deswegen come a little at the same time. You should know, as euch wegen die Teshuva was bringt nicht kapara. If I did Teshuva and didn't have a kapara, it's nicht ma'akev the mitzvah Teshuva. It doesn't mean that my Teshuva is not a Teshuva. Afilu nicht di pula ikishla, which is the most basic idea, which is mekana lahab. So I did Teshuva, it works. Teshuva, if I can do it anymore, it works. If Hashem also gave me kapara, that reflects something more on the Teshuva. And if Hashem didn't bring kapara to my Teshuva, the Teshuva is still a Teshuva. It's just missing this shleimus that brings the kapara. Sivches.
Pay attention to the practice. If you read
And that was special for you, Mendy. Special for you.
you're sure it's a question makes young.
So you can say Bli Shem Malchus, yeah. 199, please. Ki yadua is kiyum ha-mitzvahs davka be'elam hazeh neshama is beguf. Everybody knows that Yiddishkeit has to be neshama beguf. Und nicht began Eden. There's no Yiddishkeit in Gan Eden. La'achrei tzeisem me'aguf, and the neshama leaves the guf. U'kederach shazal ala pasuk. This is a pasuk, and it's a Gemara. Ba'meisem chafshi. A person dies. You know what chafshi means? He's frei.
He's what?
He's frei. No mitzvahs. Is kshem v'kiyum ha-mitzvahs. Is when the neshama is in guf. Just as all mitzvahs can only be done by the neshama in the guf, azoy darf euch sein der uftu ha'ikri von kiyum ha-mitzvahs. Therefore, the most important purpose of a mitzvah needs to be as well, skip the parenthesis, as there is mekayim tachlis b'riyasa, he fulfills the purpose for his creation, which is, ani nevreis l'shamash eskeni, I was created to serve my maker. Or, v'atem tiyuli v'mlechas keni v'gei kodesh, should be a nation of priests and a holy nation. Or, in the Lashon HaChasidus, verim b'tzafse v'chibim et Hashem mitzvah ha-mitzvahs. 3 different ways of saying it. Number 1, ani nevreis l'shamash eskeni, which is a mitzvah. Number 2, which is a mishnah, pardon me. V'atem tiyuli v'mlechas keni v'gei kodesh, which is a pasuk. And 3 is tzafse v'chibim, which is a chassidus. In other words, mamshach zayin oiden the neshama v'zagetan in guf. A mitzvah is by bringing godliness into the neshama as it's in the body, bis zum zachay dem guf allein, to refine the body itself, as a lever Akeida l'kum, a receptacle for godliness. All of Yiddishkeit is done by physical people. A person passes away, there's no mitzvahs. Why? Because when we do stuff, it leaves a mark, right? I did a mitzvah, I left a mark on my guf. I did a mitzvah, I left a mark on the leather which I made from them tefillin. Correct? Guess what? Teshuva is a mitzvah also. What's the mark of teshuva? If I did teshuva, what's the change in the world? For them is movement against teshuva. Teshuva is also a mitzvah. As das was in mevukish und tachas is kapara. Even though the Alter Rebbe makes it absolutely clear that teshuva and kapara are not inexorably connected. I can do teshuva without kapara, and the teshuva is the teshuva. But teshuva has a mavukish. Teshuva wants something. And just like tefillin's want is that a physical piece of leather should be changed, just like tefillin wants that a physical arm of a person has been changed or putting on tefillin, teshuva also wants that there should be a change in the world. Yeah? Is ikra di kapara was tut sich auf in der neshama wie sie is angetan in guf. So kapara becomes the mavukash of teshuva in this world. That's right. Because just like any other mitzvah, there's the pro-action and then there's the reaction. I did a mitzvah and the world was changed. I did teshuva and the world was changed. Where is the world changed if I died? Versteht? Was tut sich auf in der neshama, wie sie ist angetan in guf und in dem guf allein. Says the Rebbe, Masha engen die kapara was misim amerekas, top of second column 199. Even though there's a 4th category of teshuva that Reb Masa ben Chodesh quotes Rabbi Shmuel, that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and the Alter Rebbe's Iggeres in the Gemara and Yuma take away, because kapara that happens when a person dies, it's still kapara, and it's still connected to teshuva. But you know what it's not connected to? It's not connected to Yiddishkeit. I did teshuva. Hashem gave me kapara. You know what's missing? Yiddishkeit. What Yiddishkeit? Life. Chot as euch der Inyan. As a sein kapara der Misa tut sich auf durch teshuva. I did teshuva. The Eibusha forgave me. But it's not in this world. Next paragraph. Und das ist der Chidush von Elazar ben Azariah. And this is what Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says to the Masiyah Mechodesh. He's not saying to the Masiyah Mechodesh, excuse me, you don't remember correctly, Rabbi Shmuel said 3 and not 4. He knows Rabbi Shmuel said 4. He said, I'm not interested in 4. Because I'm interested in Teshuva. I'm interested in Kapara. The Bryce is about Kapara. The Alter Rebbe is about Teshuva, yeah? But I'm interested in Kapara, which connected to this world. And Kapara, which connected to this world, is Shleishach Likutei Kapara. Ramasya ben Chodesh read, the Inyan Kapara als Kapara. Ramasya ben Chodesh quotes Rabbi Shmuel, says there's 4 different levels of Hashem's forgiveness. And that's true. There are 4. Ubemele rechet edal Likutei Kapara. Oichel Hashem. Because Hashem forgives a person for any sin, even v'chel Hashem. It may happen only after he passes away, but it works. Right? Weil euch in dem Fall is veran die Kapara von der Neshama. A person passes away and the Neshama is forgiven for the Chel Hashem, it's good. Al kol ponim la'achrei testament guf. So you could almost say, what becomes the machlekes between a Masiyah ben Chod ben Azariah? They're not arguing about Teshuva. They're not arguing about Kapara. They're arguing about Mitzvah and Teshuva. There's 4 Likutei Kapara, no doubt about it. There's 4 Nyanim of Teshuva. But the Shleishach Likutei Kapara, if we talk about Mitzvah and Teshuva, it means which has an effect in the world. So remember, the Marsha is forgotten. The Marsha is forgotten. It's only the Akeida. The Marsha is not on the table at all. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah aber red wegen dem Inyan Kapara b'shayches zu Mitzvah and Teshuva. How Teshuva is a mitzvah, meaning it's changing the world. O Yisera mizu red wegen dem Inyan Teshuva v'durach Teshuva v'erde v'nake menake hu lashavin. Hashem cleans us up when we're still alive. Rechen tederi beblois gimel. He counts only 3 Likutei Kapara. Adi vazer Kapara is mechayim. If the Kapara happens while they're still alive, van dem besteht de uftu ikke van alle mitzvahs, koilul mitzvahs Hateshuva. That's the chap. What just happened? We started off today's shir with 2 words, Teshuva and Kapara, and we added a 3rd, mitzvah. And by adding a 3rd, right, mitzvah means chayim, v'chayim b'hem, v'shamas b'hem. By adding the word mitzvah, we explained what Elazar ben Azariah is thinking. We explained what the Alter Rebbe is thinking, and we explained what Masiyah ben Chodesh is thinking. If you're not talking about mitzvahs and Teshuva, you're talking only about Kapara. There's 4 Kaparas. But if you're talking about Kapara, which is connected to Teshuva, but you're talking about Kapara, which is connected to Teshuva, where Teshuva is a mitzvah, there's only 3. When the Rebbe, therefore, is in Iggeres Hateshuva, with the Alter Rebbe read wegen Yoni Kapara mit hat ihre Shayches to Teshuva. Since the Iggeres Teshuva, the Alter Rebbe is talking about Kapara, but Kapara is part of Shleimus Teshuva. Bringt the Shleisha, und nicht Chil Hashem. We're done.
The Mevukash is not the Kapara. The Mevukash is, since the Teshuva is Kabbalah and Pei, that there shouldn't be any more, that the Lahava should be good. That alone is a mitzvah. That alone is a Mevukash. For the future. And then we'll be doing all the mitzvahs in the future. That's the Mevukash. And that's the uftu. That's the uftu of mitzvah. And that's going to affect in this world. It's going to be.
Right. But if by Teshuva has also Kapara, that Mevukash is better.
But it's not maybe Marsha says, hey, that's good enough. That's good enough for Mevukash. That the future should be good. That'll elevate and accomplish all those 3 things. It's absolute Kipper and everything that way.
Yeah, but the 4th one happens after the person dies. The Marsha takes off the 1st.
Because he's not looking at the Mevukash, that Mevukash. You're saying the Mevukash is the Kapara, so therefore it's relevant.
No, the Mevukash is mitzvah. Mitzvah Teshuva.
Right. Which is for what purpose?
To clean you as a neshama beguf.
I'm saying no.
Because mitzvahs are only in this world.
Correct. Because we're talking about that. It says actions for the future.
No, but if the guy doesn't have kapara till he dies.
Kapara is irrelevant.
No. That's what the Rebbe said. The Rebbe said, Ikar Teshuva, but kapara is irrelevant. Shleimus Teshuva, kapara is a part of it.